Well, Happy New Day is here saying, feels good to be back with you here. How feels each and every one of you this wonderful, lovely new day? How feels beautiful, handsome, enlightened, and fantastically prosperous and healthy you this wonderful, lovely new day? Well, namaste, and I welcome all of you with so much love to today's program. And we'll do what is required after the lesson sermon. But today, our lesson sermon is going back to basics. You know, when I first heard of the word yoga and yogi, I thought they always fly. But today we will understand what yoga is. See, we have what we call the eight-limbed yoga. Patanjali brought them, and my beloved Guru Roy Eugene Davis has expatiated on it in so many books. I remember when I first read This is Reality. Have you seen that book before? This is Reality? Roy Eugene Davis wrote that book. It was a classic. And I went to the technique side. After I read the book, I went to the technique side. And, there were techniques for the first, second, third, fourth kriyas. And I was doing them, and I thought I was doing the fourth kriya. So in my interview before Roy would initiate me into the Kriya Yoga Pranayama, he asked me, whether I know the Kriya Pranayama. I said, I'm the fourth. He said, no, Samuel, you have not even started. And there was this flush on my face. What do you mean I haven't started? He said, do you think I will put this sacred science, something that must go from guru to disciple in the book for all? No. And sometimes students tend to read books, and sometimes I see some of our students, they'll go and read some books and they think that they know so much and come and repeat them to me. I look at them quietly and I say, you keep on like that. I remember when I was staying at CSA Lakemont, and the washing machine in my house once broke down, and so I had to use the washing machine in our main office. And there was a library, and behind the library were the washing machines. So as I was washing my clothes, I sat in the library and was browsing through some books to while the time away. And Roy passed and he asked me, Samuel, what are you reading? I mentioned the title of the book. And then he passed again. He asked, what are you reading again? And then about the third or fourth time, he said, Samuel, after reading all these books, you'll be either highly enlightened or greatly confused. And I said, sir, I'm just whiling the time away, and I'm just looking at the titles and just picking them to randomly read through them. He said, all right. Because he had then given me books that I should be reading, under his guidance. And I made up my mind while studying to understand not only the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, but the 8 limbs of yoga. Sometimes when you hear of yoga, we think when we do that, we are doing yoga. Some people don't look at the beginning of yoga. You see, when I first arrived in this country, Roy had instructed me that, Samuel, teach the basic, the yamas and the niyamas, for a year before you initiate anyone into Kriya Pranayama. I said, yes, sir. And Dr. Beckley and my brother Uredu came to me, with a big brown bag full of money to ask me to initiate them. I said, no, I've been asked to do that after I've taught the basic principles for a year. Sometimes we are impatient. We want to gather all knowledge now. But look, it takes years sometimes to come to terms with some of the basic principles that we are being taught. How many of us can strike our chest and say, the yamas and the niyamas, we have mastered them? But yoga starts with the yamas and the niyamas, the don'ts and the do's, the restraints and the observances. They are the first two steps. And then the third step, you have asana, which is the posture. It didn't say asanas, but asana. Because all asanas that you do should lead you to one which you'll be able to hold firm and pleasant. He says, Patanjali says, the ideal meditation posture is one which is firm and pleasant. So any position which makes you feel uncomfortable is not the posture for meditation. I remember when I came to the country, there was a man who was known as a yogi. His name was Mr. Henry Strong. And one American teacher came to this country during Achampon's time, and there was a public lecture, and Henry Strong during the lecture was going up and down with a lot of prayer beads, the big ones. He had it on, going to the ground. People were saying, Charlie, that man was big, But when I encountered him, I saw that he had not even started the path. He sat me, we sat down, and then he said to me, he had a problem with posture. And I asked him what was it. He said he would sit in the lotus posture, and after about some 10 minutes, he would feel pain. And I said, well, you can sit in an upright, relaxed position, which is firm and pleasant, but what you are doing is not making you meditate to the highest level. You are meditating on peace. You are meditating on pain. You are meditating on pain. And I told him to sit in an upright, relaxed position. Because you see, the thing is that in this culture, I remember when I was young, I used to sit cross-legged. And my dad would whip me, hey, don't sit cross-legged. And it went on. And so to stop being whipped, I stopped sitting like that. Like when I see cross, hey, wabo kankra, wabo kankra. That is, you have sat in the cross. I will whip you. And, it was maybe from past experiences which was making me sit like that. And I couldn't say Papa. I mean, my name was Baba. And he will, kind of tease me that I couldn't say Papa. But later on, when I got into yoga and got into karma and reincarnation, then that made me know that I've been on this path before. You see, you sit in an upright, relaxed position with your back away from the chair and make sure that you keep the spine erect. And then begin to draw the attention within. You see, when you find yourself in the ideal meditation posture, then you begin with pranayama, life force regulation. And it was when Roy initiated me into the Kriya Yoga Pranayama that I began to understand what meditation was about. Because it was withdrawing the attention within and then leading the divine energy, going to the spine and raising the energy up and down and finally up, and forget about breathing and remain in a state. But then, after pranayama, we have pratyahara. That is learning to withdrawal of the senses from its objects. Sometimes you are meditating and you find that your attention is on the sound of the air condition. Sometimes when we sit here to meditate and you are quiet, you hear the air condition, and your attention goes onto the air condition. No, withdraw your attention from the air condition. Once you are, you don't try forcibly. No. But do not let it be part of your, thinking process. And relax your attention within, keep your focus. And so when you withdraw your attention, there is a gentleman, a Christian monk who lived in the East, who used pratyahara to help people get over drug addictions. Because when you're addicted to anything, it is when your attention flows out and gets into contact with them that, you feel you must indulge in them. But he taught them the practice of pratyahara, withdrawing their attention from the objects of the senses to within, to center them within. And when you learn to withdraw your attention and you begin to center within, then you begin to learn concentration. Because to focus your attention on one thing, maybe to focus your attention on your mantra and disregard the sound of the air condition takes some practice, And so you flow your attention to the object of your concentration, and then when it goes on without break, then you are beginning to meditate. And when you meditate, there are two things which happens finally. You either feel your oneness with the object you are focusing your attention on, or you go beyond it. We have the last one as samadhi. And it's also the Krishna darkness of mind is yoga. Your mind support. Maybe your attention is just focused on the sound or the light or blaze or any of the attributes of God. But there is a higher samadhi. They call it the blowout. You had that experience when I was at Lake Mon. I was meditating and I was seeing blue light. When I sit down, I close my eyes, I'll see blue light. When I open my eyes, even the atmosphere look blue. And then one day I woke up, I started to meditate, no blue light. I opened my eyes, the atmosphere was no longer blue. I said, hey, where has it gone to? Come back here. And I went to sit. I sat so many days. And then one day, Roy was talking and he mentioned that, you're not supposed to be attached to this. So, and when I got over it, I didn't care whether I experienced blue light or not. I sometimes when I came back from the US, I sometimes went to the beach and I'll be looking at the sky. The sky has a blue hue, a bluish hue. It was a nice experience. I used to go to the beach every Sunday to experience that. And eventually that also went off. You see, the thing is that anything, are you getting me? Anything which is subject to change is not you. You see, before light and before sound was, and someone in defining a human being, Hugh is aspect that live as a man. Let us make man in our own image and after our likeness. And that is what we are doing here. This world, it is when you are living this world that you find, everyone wants to be the masters who are gone, but no one wants to talk about death. For death come tomorrow. His last days, he went into a coma, and then after some days, he came out. My mom asked him, "Oh, why this cough?" Then he said, "Oh, is it numbers? Brothers and relatives." You see, okay, and in this coma, she may be communicating with them, and so just let's leave her to go. They couldn't understand it, but I had a previous conversation with mom. Every Christmas, you put my sisters, your daughters, into a state of mourning. So if you want to go, wait till after Christmas, and then you can go. So I didn't go to visit her on Christmas Day. The next day, and I went there. Her eyes were closed. And when I got inside, I said, "Efua Mabao," like her name was Efua. And so I said, "Efua, I've come." And then she opened her eyes. One of my sisters standing by me said, I told her I brought the children to say goodbye. And my daughter Ananda will not be overwhelmed by the light also. And that someone will come and walk out of the room and sat in my car. It was a Grace van, Hyundai Grace. Sat in and went home. When we got home, I went into my room. At that time, we had separate. My room had a bedroom, my bedroom. I went into my bed and I went and picked the phone, and my sister told me, "Your mom is gone." Oh." So I went back there to pick her body to the mortuary. But since then, we've had one or two encounters. So die, in various situations. You see, someone may fall from a tree, someone a building may collapse on them, someone may fall sick. It's a way of shedding the body. Ramana Maharshi went, and my brother, Atta, he also did that in a way for some of us, but not for our lives. And I will conclude the lesson sermon by saying that we must aim at awakening to our oneness with God consciously. And so when my brother came to call me, I thought it was in the morning. When I woke up, I said,